Hi and welcome to Origin of Concepts. In this video I'll walk you through the Greek god Cronus, or Cronus, which is also the god Saturn in Roman mythology. But we have to be a little careful because there's two Cronus. There's Cronus and Cronus, which is the god of time, and they are two separate gods. And Saturn is like a mix in the Roman. So in this video I'll focus on Cronus. And it will be important. The reason why I mentioned Saturn is because when I tell you who Cronus is, you also know who Saturn is when I make this video later. Okay, Cronus or Cronus was the leader of the Greek Titans, youngest son of Uranus, the sky, and Gaia or Gaia, Mother Earth, who famously overthrew his father. Fearing a prophecy that his children would overthrow him, Cronus swallowed his children he got with Rhea. So right after the birth, he swallowed his children. And it has led to many conspiracies out there of old men eating babies. Cronus was defeated by his youngest son Zeus and imprisoned in Tartarus, making the end of the Golden Age and the rise of the Olympians, the gods on the Mount Olympus in Greek mythology. And it's no secret that everything regarding gods in Greek mythology has its origin in the Milky Way center. So let's take a look at the Milky Way here. Cronus is an allegory or a personification based on the disk and the striped shadow. So this is, so to speak, the head or spirit of Cronus, and this striped shadow here, the crescent form, is his body, so to speak. It's not that important in this video, but it's those two aspects of the Milky Way center it all evolves around. All right. He is son of Uranus and Gaia, Mother Earth, and father of Zeus. And let me start display. Uranus is based on this blue area up here, the sky in the Milky Way center, the void where everything manifests through into the mortal world by the help of Gaia, his mother, which is the silvery shadow here with a female posture. She's standing here with her legs crossed. And his son, the second generation, is also Zeus, is also the striped shadow here, the light emanating into the mortal world, so to speak. But first it's Cronus, and then when he's overthrown, it's Zeus's turn. I'll make a video about Zeus in the near future. So wait for it. Okay, let's go through some key features in the texts to see if we can back all this up. First, the rise to power of Cronus. At his mother Gaia's will, Cronus castrated his father Uranus with a sickle to end his tyranny, becoming the king of the gods. So, first of all, Uranus is the blue sky above the disk. We already got this here. And his Uranus's testicles is, of course, I have to remove it here. Sorry, the testicle is this area here. The golden disc with the semen at top. The sky is also often used as semen in many worldwide myth. So and then Cronus is castrating Uranus with his sickle. And the sickle is the striped shadow, the crescent. And if we follow the dark lines here, you get the sickle. So now he's castrating his father Uranus. Yeah. And next, Cronus eating his children. That's a very famous story. And that's, with the naked eye and the literal ears, it sounds like, oh no, he's eating his children. But let's see what it's all about. Cronus eating his child to prevent the prophecy that his child will overtake him. So Cronus swallowed his children at birth. Rhea, the wife of Cronus, distressed, hid her sixth child, Zeus, and fed Cronus a stone wrapped in swaddling cloth instead. You can see it here in the picture below, that she is handing over the swaddling stone to Cronus. So let's break that down. First of all, the big mouth of Cronus eating his children is the big mouth here in the Milky Way center. And all the children is, of course, the stripes here in the striped shadow. So here you see Cronus eating his children. And Rhea, the wife of Cronus, is, of course, the female shadow here. She's standing here with all the babies in her womb coming out. And let me delete this, because the Milky Way center is also the big belly with all the children inside the father belly. And when they are inside Gaia, the striped shadow here, or the crescent with all the kids, is her womb, of course. So here she stands with her womb with all the children. Okay. And the stone wrapped in swaddling clothes is, of course, also the striped shadow, the rock in heaven. So here you got the swaddling is all the stripes here, in the striped shadow, and inside you got the stone. It's swaddled here, or it got, it's also used in other myths, like the bandages of the mummy, for example, and bondage of people and stuff like that. So here you got the swaddled rock that is swallowed by Cronus. And now I'll make the mouth again here, just to make sense for you. Now he's swallowing it. All right. Then we have to move on to the Titanomachi. That's the War of the Titans. I have a little trouble to speak the words today. I don't know why. Maybe it's my Greek. I have to practice a bit. The Titanomachi, it must be. It's basically a war between Cronus and his son Zeus. And the text writes, because Zeus want the children out of his father's stomach, so he wants Cronus to throw up the children. And I don't think I have to outline it. The mouth is throwing up the kids. or the children. But it reads, Zeus later returned, forcing Cronus to free or throw up his siblings, which led to the War of the Titans. That resulted in Cronus' imprisonment in Tartarus and the end of the Golden Age. So I already, here is the throw up of the children in the great mouth. So he's throwing them up. And the fighting warriors in the war is of course also visualized by the striped shadow here. The fighting warriors are gods. This is always, the striped shadow is always the more than one god together. It's also the Olympians on Mount Olympus here, and so on and so forth. So this is the fighting warrior gods. Tartarus is the dungeon or prison where Cronus is placed, visualized by the Milky Way Center, enclosed by the dark shadows. And this is basically the dungeon. And the bars, the prison bars, is the striped shadow here. So here is Cronus kept. And what else do I got here? Yeah, that was all about the War of the Titans. It should give you a basic understanding on where they got all their ideas from. And then we got the downfall of Cronus and the rise of his son Zeus. It ends the Golden Age and make a shift in the cosmic order, moving from a period of idyllic, effortless existence under the Titan Cronus to a harder, more structured and demanding era under the Olympian gods. So what's that all about? It's very simple, because the Golden Age is first of all an allegory of the golden disc light here. This is the Golden Age. The immortal realm, you don't have to do anything. You are a god. You can relax, in the sky, and you can just do nothing. The spirit is there and nothing to spoil it. But suddenly, when we got after the war and Zeus get into power with all his Olympian gods, there comes a connection to the mortal world. So what the basic meaning is, when the spirit reaches the mortal world, it's a hard work for the gods to implement spirit and wisdom in the humans. So now all the hard work starts. So that's the basic understanding of that text. And the Golden Age was the gold, and of course then we go into the Silver Age. And what do we got here? We got the silver shadow. So here we got the Golden Age and the Silver Age. They go into, Gaia is Mother Earth, because she is manifesting the spirit light. The father up here is the void, nothingness. And the mother is the one who manifests that nothingness into the spirit light here. And this spirit light, emanating from the disc, and it flows into the mortal world, the striped shadow. So that's the theme of this, the point. Okay, that was it. I got one last here. Cronus is often associated with agriculture, harvest, and vegetation. And of course it is, because the vegetation is, of course, the striped shadow here on Earth. This area is always the mortal world, so to speak, with descriptions of olive mountains or forests and alleys of trees, pillars, temples, cities, you name it. It's all in here in this area. So this is the vegetation and the agriculture in the soil. And it must also be harvested with the sickle. And let me see here. The sickle is, let me remove that ring here. The sickle is, of course, you already know, the crescent here. So this is the sickle used to harvest. But why, a sickle is for harvest, but why in the Milky Way? And let me explain. It's because the harvest season is between July and September. And it's associated with the striped shadow and the sickle standing on the horizon. So the ancient Greeks knew that when the sickle and the striped shadow, went down under the horizon, it was time to harvest their wheat, so to speak. So they used the annual cycle of the Milky Way center to define certain points of the seasons to do stuff we need. So that's a combination, and that's why they use the Milky Way center as an indicator. And by the way, this is very interesting because the Egypt did exactly the same. Maybe if you know anything about Egypt, you also know the interpretation of the flooding of the Nile River. That was the indicator that now we have to do this and that. But, the Nile was never overflooding, as we are told. Maybe a little bit, but that was not the idea of the textures. Because the overflooding of the Nile was the overflooding of the Nile in the river. And the Nile in the river is the striped shadow here. So when the Nile in the river reached the horizon or disappeared behind the horizon, then it was time to do whatever they want to do. I think they were not. I think they were soaring at this. Put the seed into the earth at this point, and then they were harvesting in the summer. But whatever. That's why we got the flooding of the Nile River. Okay, this is not a video about ancient Egypt, but it's connected totally. In Greek, it was the sickle. So, and it was both like literary for the real world and a metaphor, the sickle to harvest spirit. So I think that was all. Yes, it was all. It reads end here on my note. So it's time to say thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. And until next video, take care. See ya. Bye.